Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Blake Creamer, and in this episode, we've got another round of Fantasy Hockey ADP Battles. Two players in the same draft range, only one can make it onto your roster. My guest and I are going to be running through 6 more head-to-head showdowns. We're going to break down upside, risk, team context, and everything you need to know to make the right call on draft day. Let's get to biz. Oh, yeah. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast, the #1 fruit-based fantasy hockey podcast out there. We know this, all right? You know this is confirmed, all right? I'm Blake Creamer, your host. Please follow me over on Twitter/X at Blake Creamer AG. And yeah, I've got an amazing show here today, a great guest. He's an absolute beauty. It's Jason Chen from the Hockey News magazine and website. Buddy, how have you been here this summer? What's going on? Feels like it's been a little while since I've seen you.
It has. It's been good. Summer's been good. How was yours?
We had a nice time. All right. The kids, got out to the beach a little bit. We live here on Vancouver Island. So, I never thought that I would be a beach guy growing up. I spent a lot of time in the basement. I still do. But when I'm not in the basement doing fantasy hockey stuff, I'm out at the beach, and it's really nice. Kids could be acting like total dipsticks all day, and you get them out to the beach, and they're just chucking rocks into the water, and they're right as rain. So yeah, there's something to that. Me too, actually. I love skipping rocks. You ever just go out and skip rocks for like an hour?
I'm not very good at it, but I have. But when I was a kid, I loved picking up rocks and putting in my pocket. Like I'd always find like the round ones, the most spherical ones I could find. Yep. And I'd go home, my mom would be like, okay, you got to empty your pocket. So like outside on our front door or on our porch, there'd always be like a collection of rocks.
I like that. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I feel like a kid sometimes at the beach because I'm like, oh, look at this rock. And it's just like a brown rock with like a stripe on it. I'm like, I'm going to take that home. Like,
right.
What the hell am I doing with this rock? I don't know. Now
I can't remember what they're called, but sometimes you get glass that's weathered and it's like rounded by the weather and the sea.
Like sea glass?
Sea glass, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff is awesome.
Yeah, that's a straight treasure right there. I get some of that for my kids. They're good for a week. Anyways, what the hell are we doing here, Jason? I'm sorry about this. We got to do battle. We can't be this nice to each other right off the hop here, all right? This is serious business. This is an ADP battle. The premise of the show, we look at 2 players in and around the same draft position. We're using Yahoo ADP here just for convenience. But yeah, just who are we taking and why? And hopefully we have a couple disagreements so we could, kind of chat that out. I love those type of conversations for fantasy hockey. Like, who are you picking and why? Because Nate and I have actually we did our projections thing and we just wrapped that up. We had 8 episodes, did all 32 teams. And the best ones were when we disagree on something or we kind of try and have the other person see our point of view. And I love that. So this is a really fun format for that because I just like getting people on here that are smarter than me. So Jason, thank you very much for your service. Really appreciate that. You ready to do battle, my man?
Let's do it. Pick your fighter.
Oh, yeah, buddy. All right. Oh, dang. And we didn't get to see this awesome. Yeah, there you go. If you head on over to the Apples and Ginos YouTube, if you want to see some really wicked graphics here. We're doing an ADP battle here. All right. Let's get the biz. First one we're doing here. It's pick number 3. All right. We've secured pick number 3 in the first round. And we're staring down Nikita Kucherov or Leon Draisaitl. And I think this is a kind of an important one choice because I've seen it go a lot of different ways in a lot of the mock drafts I've done here. Who are you taking here at pick 3, Jason?
So I don't want to, sound too in the middle here, but you can't really go wrong with either. But obviously, if you're in a league with faceoffs, I would go with Draisaitl. But if we're doing just points, if we're doing just upside, I got to go with Nikita Kucherov. I don't think right wing is as shallow as it used to be, but I do think left wing is still a little deeper. And on Yahoo, I know Draisaitl has left wing eligibility still.
Right.
And this is a question of like, do you want the Art Ross winner in Kucherov or do you want the Rocket Richard guy in Draisaitl? To me, what tips the scales for me is that Kucherov is probably the best player for power play points in the league. The Oilers have a lot of talent, but their power play is top 15, top 10. But Tampa is always up there. And I think that's what tips the scales for me. But depending on the format, you could go either way, and I don't think you'd be wrong.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'm taking Kucherov here. I think. So who did you take? You taking Draisaitl? Like format dependent? Yeah. Oh, you're taking.
Yeah, if
Kucherov.
it face-offs, I'll take Draisaitl, but for points, I'm taking Kucherov. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're together on that. I think that Kuch is like, he's just a bigger part of the offense, I think. And I'm not, again, to your point, like disclaimer, Draisaitl is perfectly reasonable at number 3. It's perfectly reasonable to take Draisaitl at number 2, honestly. Like I've seen it happen. So we're splitting hairs here basically. But to me, my personal preference is to go Kuch here just because he is going to be a bigger part of the offense. I mean, Draisaitl is a large part of the Oilers offense, but we got McDavid there as well, right? So they're kind of a tandem where everything with Tampa's offense goes through Kuch, right? Like he's entering the zone at will. He's creative. He's deceptive. He's doing all that stuff. And also, I think that Kuch has a little bit better of even strength deployment. That's something that kind of drives me towards Kucherov here as well. Like we know his line is well defined. We know that John Cooper likes to just throw that line out there and in all situations and just let them get to biz, right? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add, I think that tips the scales in Kuch's favor too, is that we're not quite sure who Draisaitl's wingers are going to be this season. And that's kind of been a problem all season or ever since he joined the Oilers, really. Mm-hmm. We just did a Western Conference preview on the Sleepers and Keepers podcast, and who's playing with Draisaitl was a big debate, especially on that right wing. I know probably Vasily Podkolzin's going to be there, former Canuck, by the way. I know they like playing with each other. I know Draisaitl speaks highly of Podkolzin, but I mean, it's Podkolzin versus Braden Point and maybe Jake Gensel, right? Like there's no comparison there.
No, it's so true. And then where did you guys land with his other winger there, right wing? Because I think there's a chance that Ike Howard gets a chance with Draisaitl or McDavid at some point here. We got Mangiapane, can play both sides. Who did you land on there with his other winger?
So we had 3 people and we had 3 different answers. I think we had Ike Howard. One of them picked Mangiapane, who I think is the safe pick, and I picked Savoie. But I kind of forgot to mention that David Tomashek might be there as well. Mm-hmm. I just think they need more righty shooters on that top with Hyman out. So Ike Howard maybe, but Savoie I really like as a high-end offensive player, but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to see Ike Howard play with McDavid. Oh yeah, watch that guy's highlight package. Mm-hmm. Crazy snapper. This guy's got a really good shot, like an NHL level shot, no question, right off the bat.
Do you think he'll knock Nuge?
No. Probably not, right? I mean, he'll have a cup of coffee.
That's my big question. Is I feel like Nuge and McDavid kind of stuck together, and then once Hyman's back, that's the line you go with.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it before with the Oilers, right? They try and do the 3-line thing. You might get Nuge as the 3C, but when they need goals, they just shorten that bench, and you're getting 2 lines. You're getting Nuge with Draisaitl or McDavid. Yeah. It's good stuff, but I do think Ike Howard has some nice value as a sleeper this year. Mm-hmm. But anyways, back to Kuch. This guy's a machine. Also, to your point as well, the power play points. This guy, we've projected him for almost 10 or 9 more power play points for Kucherov as opposed to Draisaitl. So, and that's like Draisaitl for 39 power play points, which is an increase in what he had last year. But yeah, we got 47 for Kuch, and it doesn't even feel wrong, right?
Yeah, I thought you meant like 9 more power play points in total than last year for Kuch, and I'd be like, wow. But I mean, like, you know what?
That's not even crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, 46 power play points for him last year. We've got him for like 48 this year. So
50 plus would be crazy.
It's crazy stuff. He does that though.
He does.
Yeah. And also one last thing too on this matchup here, Draisaitl, he's a guy that lives off efficiency. And the thing about that is he's elite, and he's already shown in spades that he can sustain that year after year. So it's not something that I'm concerned about regressing, but eventually that will fall off, right? I don't think that it's going to be this season, but there's always a chance, right? Luck, I think, is really the kind of key thing. He just run into a stretch of bad luck. The Oilers Draisaitl could be injured, playing through injury, right? So yeah, I think there's enough here for me to feel like Kuch is the clear number 3. I'm taking him over Draisaitl all day. All right. Even before we move on here, I'd love to get your quick thoughts on just the back end of the first round in general, because this season, It's really
It's
weird.
so good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's depending on who you talk to, right? Like,
Yes. Okay.
pick 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, there's so many guys in the mix there. We got, Werenski and Hughes sneaking up into the first round sometimes. Jack Eichel, Jack Hughes, Rantanen, Brady Tkachuk. Like, what do you think? Like, how do you like to approach the back end of the first round?
Well, first off, for Brady Tkachuk, if he's like in a banger league, I don't think he slips to that late, like end of the
Shouldn't.
first. I think he goes well before that. Obviously league dependent, but at the back end of the first round, even in the first part of the second round, you're getting like a potential 90, 100-point player. And that hasn't really happened in years past, where there's like a couple guys you can maybe think will get there, but there's a whole group. I'd say there's 5 to 10 guys, if healthy, that you can really pick from that pool. And it depends on like if you want shot volume, if you want goals, if you want assists. I think you can go anywhere with it. And defensemen too, as you said.
Yeah. Who do you like? If you had to pick someone at the back end of those 5 guys, who are you taking in? Like, say you have like pick 9, 10, or 11. What are you doing with that pick? Put you on the spot here.
We just kind of talked about the West, but I was thinking like Eichel, Marner, like I feel like those guys would, even though you could say, well, Eichel had, the best season ever, and Marner's going from being the star in Toronto to maybe a better or more balanced team in Vegas. But I feel like those two guys are good for 90 points.
Yep. I really like Eichel this year. I talked with Josh in a recent ADP battle about that. And yeah, we're both in sync there. We're like, yep, this guy's I think he's an easy first rounder in pretty much most formats.
Is there a player you're thinking about that might be late first round that you're not sure of?
Well, Rantanen is a guy I've been talking about all offseason as a player I'm interested in, but that was before he started getting steamed up the board. I thought that we might be able to get him at value, kind of like middle of the second round. And
that
then I was
Dallas tax is overrated. I think he's still going to be like maybe not 110 points type of deal, but 90 points easy.
Yeah, I've got him for 93. Nate's a little lower on him. He's got him for like 85. So we had quite a difference on that player. And it makes sense. You can make the argument for both cases, but that's a player I'm interested in. Just like, with Matt Tkachuk being out as well, he's a first rounder. So now we're looking at Werenski sneaking. It's crazy. I just want to get your quick take on that. All right, we're digressing. These battles won't take as long as that one, but I haven't talked to you in a while, so I wanted to get that in there. All right, let's move on. Next battle here, pick number 32. Your drafts, and you're looking at some dual eligible players here, a couple young bucks, a couple shooters, a couple studs. We're looking at Matt Boldy and Jason Robertson. Who do you think you're taking here at pick 32?
This might be a little biased, but I'm taking Matt Boldy all day, every day. What's kind of amazing to me about Jason Robertson is that he can put up 80 points, but being really efficient about it. So like not a lot of shots, not a lot of ice time, but he somehow just gets there. And I feel like that's kind of the way he plays, where you don't really notice him that much because he's not the best playmaker. He's not the fastest, but somehow he gets involved. Matt Boldy to me has the higher ceiling. You notice him a lot because he's got high shooting volume. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 300 this season. He's definitely going to play more minutes, and if he plays with Kirill Kaprizov, I think that line goes off for Minnesota.
Yeah, I love both these players. So again, disclaimer: I want both these guys on my team. So we're not saying pick this guy and don't pick this guy. Right? I would love both these players on my team. I'm there. That's why I put them in this battle here. I'm excited about both players, and I like that take. There is no wrong answer here. Boldy's a guy I've been into for a long time. Us here at Apples and Ginos, like he's great. But one of my issues with Boldy is the inefficient shooting. Like, yeah, he shoots the lights out, but is he a chucker? Like, we haven't seen an efficient season yet from Matt Boldy. And if you're just looking at the stats, like the box scores, you could say, oh, maybe he's a chucker. But you watch the games and you see kind of the way he drives offense, the individual shot and chance generation, right? So I think he's been unlucky, and there's something just missing there, that final finishing touch with Boldy. And to me, that's one of the reasons why I'm going to go J-Rob with this one.
Nice.
Yeah. And I love Matt Boldy, and Matt Boldy at pick 32, it's a smash. I think he's going to have a great year, but it's funny you said Boldy has a higher ceiling, because I actually think that J-Rob has the higher ceiling. And I think we've seen proof of concept of that, right? This guy, he had 109 points in like just 2 years ago, right? And granted, that was with a massive power play performance. He had like 41 power play points. Yep. He hasn't come close to that ever since, right? So that's a disturbing trend, right? Things haven't gone well. but he's also been injured. He's also like, he played 82 games last year, but we know that he came into the season with like a foot injury and he didn't look right. And then also Dallas last year had kind of a top 9 that was really good. And they also played a 1A, 1B power play. To me this year, I think they're going to have a true top power play under Glenn Gulletson. And that's what's getting me really excited about J-Rob, the increase in power play points, because Dallas is one of the teams that I'm pretty excited about this year. And when I dug in on Dallas in terms of like what their power play looked like last year, very, very dangerous, but not very efficient. Right. And we saw that even,
relatively speaking, they're actually terrible.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, in terms of actual points, actual goals, it wasn't awesome, right? Like they were fine. They figured it out kind of halfway through the year when they put Harley on the back end there when Miro Heiskanen got injured.
And I do think they do rely on that point shot a lot. With Rantanen for a full season, I think they're going to work it down low a bit more. They were actually not very good at just getting chances and executing them in the middle of the ice on the power play. I think that's going to change. So one thing about Robertson is that 109 point season you talked about, to me, I feel like that's the anomaly. I feel like he's an 80 point player. And I feel the same with Boldy. He's about 80 points. I think with Kaprizov injured though, Boldy's volume of shooting went up because he felt he had to carry a lot of that offense. I do think he's a bit of a chucker, but I still like the shot volume just from like a fantasy standpoint. Is he a good finisher? He's definitely not as efficient as Robertson, who like gets 80 points no matter. Like if he played 60 minutes a game, I feel like he still get 80 points still, right? But Boldy, I also think possession-wise, individually, I think he can carry his own line better than Robertson. So if Boldy doesn't play with Kaprizov, which would be a knock against his fantasy value, I feel like he can still put up 80 points.
I like that. I agree with you there. I think Boldy is a better play driver. So able to do it more on his own. But I do think that Robertson is going to have a better supporting cast throughout the year, because a lot of time Boldy, does play with Kaprizov, but he also plays on the second line there with Marco Rossi and, the player du jour, right? Whoever plays on the right wing there, whether it's, Tarasenko now. Or,
I know. I don't know about Tarasenko anymore.
So I still think they like Boldy on the second line there just to even things out, because, the Zucchini man, Matt Zuccarello, he plays really well with Kaprizov there. So, that kind of makes sense. I'm really stoked on Dallas this year, and I'm stoked on that Dallas power play. And I think Jason Robertson is going to be a big part of it. But this is a really close one. What do you think about Dallas just in general this year? With obviously they got the coaching change here. That's an interesting coaching change because they played so well, right? But obviously this guy was just a all-time dingus, throwing Jake Ottinger under the bus. I don't know what you're doing there. He didn't want to be there if he's doing that. Like, what do you think about Glenn Gulletson and the potential for Dallas?
And also, I think it was earlier today, DeBoer came out and said, I shouldn't have said what I said, which felt like a half apology.
And
Ottinger was like, oh, well, whatever. Okay, you're gone. Glenn Gulletson is really interesting. I'm with you there. So obviously he's going to bring something from Edmonton, which I think will help because Edmonton runs on star power a lot. If you look back at Gulletson's Flames, they were actually pretty good at creating chances. They just weren't very good at executing them. But it has been a while since he's been the head coach. So I do wonder about that. I think the Stars have probably the most fantasy options out of any team in the NHL. I think the Rantanen tax is real. Like he's going to play less minutes, but that's just because they have so many weapons to go around. Jason Robertson is fine because it seems like he's locked in on that Hintz Rantanen line. But I don't know if Gulletson might keep that together because I was digging deeper into the possession numbers and I was a little surprised it wasn't as good as I thought.
Like that line in general?
That line in general, yes.
It's really hard for me to look at last year and feel confident about my takes. You know what I mean? Because
why not? The Stars are good. They're really good team.
They're unbelievable. But it's like, again, that Rantanen factor, right? This is a guy that has a lot of gravity. that,
Yes.
and he had a crazy season playing for 3 teams. Like you don't normally
Yes.
see that a superstar caliber player being moved twice in one season.
Mhm.
Like, yeah. And then, he gets a shave off the time on ice there, which kind of stinks, and has a really good playoffs in some games and then just fell asleep in some other games. So Rantanen is an interesting polarizing piece here. And and now they have a coaching change. So there's some variance, but I don't know. I just feel like J-Rob is better than an 80-point player. I'm not saying he's a 109-point player. I agree with you there. That's going to be the outlier. I don't think he touches that again, but I could see him in the 90-point range, like 90 to 95. I think that's where he should live if he's fully healthy and he's getting the deployment. And on that note too, first power play unit, I'm looking at daily faceoff here, and I don't agree with it, but they've got Jason Robertson on power play 2. They've got Matt Duchene up on power play 1. Do you think that's how it's going to shake out, or they're going to put Robertson on power play 1?
I think Duchene's going to be power play 2. I actually wouldn't be surprised if Duchene's numbers like dip a little. I think he had like an outstanding season. I think a healthy Sagan is going to take away from that. I think the first power play is going to be the top line. So Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen, Wyatt Johnston. And if they don't go with Thomas Harley, they're insane.
Yeah. I mean, Heiskanen can do it. When I was digging in, they had great expected goal for numbers on the power play, even with Heiskanen. They just weren't scoring. When Harley got there, they started scoring. So it's a different look. I think Harley's a little bit better facilitator.
I do think so. I think he moves the puck better, and I do think he's the better shooter.
Yep. So it's got to be Harley or bust. I mean, we're taking Harley over Heiskanen, but I think that power play is going to be great no matter what. All right, let's move on. We feel somewhat good about this. All right, over to pick 70 now. We're looking at maybe a second defenseman or a third defenseman here in our drafts, and we've got a couple of studs. Just kind of middle tier guys. Mikhail Sergachev and Dougie Hamilton. So which one of these guys is tickling your fancy?
This was so hard. I'd say for every ranking around 70 and up, this is where you get a lot of disagreement. For me, I like Mikhail Sergachev. Dougie Hamilton, I know he's really excellent, especially on the power play. I am terrified of the injury risk. I don't think Luke Hughes is really a threat. But the fact that Dougie Hamilton was kind of in the rumor mill this summer scares me a little bit. I just like Sergachev because I think he's like undisputed number 1 on Utah. He has good peripherals. I do think Hamilton is probably going to drop. I don't know. I'd be surprised if Hamilton was around this area in a lot of drafts. I feel like he gets overlooked. So maybe he might be a better value pick if he drops more. But Sergachev for me, just for the all-rounded sort of category coverage.
Yep. No, I like that. I feel like Sergachev is definitely the safer pick.
Yes.
But I do think that Dougie Hamilton is the better fantasy hockey asset. Oh, buddy. I love Dougie. And this is even with I think that I like the ceiling play here with Dougie Hamilton. By the way, your name's Douglas, and you just decide you're like, I'm going to call me Dougie. All right. And you put it on the birth certificate. Like, do you think that Dougie Hamilton's birth certificate says Dougie?
It's Douglas, I'm sure.
I don't know. I'd be interested in that. If anybody knows, hit us up in the comments here. Is Dougie Hamilton's name actually Douglas, or is it actually Dougie? I don't know. I'm
pretty sure it's Douglas, but isn't his brother Freddie?
Freddie and Dougie? Okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Anything with E at the end. I mean, Jason E, that doesn't make sense. No, Blakey, no, it's not. It actually doesn't work. Dougie is elite. Let's agree on that. But I do think that even with Luke Hughes in town here in New Jersey, I think that Dougie is still at this ADP. And like you said, he could drop a little bit more because people are aware of what's going on. So his role in the power play, definitely not set in stone. I think it's going to be a share, right? I could see him having like a 50% power play share. He had a 67% power play share last year for reference.
I think that sticks. I think Hamilton is better on the power play than Luke Hughes. I think some coaches want the Hughes sort of brain power to manifest itself when they put both of them on the ice. I think the ceiling for Dougie is higher. I agree with you there. I just don't know if I'd reach for that ceiling at this point.
Yeah.
I think the one category that Hamilton has Sergachev beat for sure is shots.
Yeah. He's unbelievable at that. Like he shoots like a forward out there. Like this guy, and if he really gets cooking, like he had 275 shots just 2 years ago, right? Like
not many defensemen do that.
No, that's crazy. Him and Zach Werenski, basically. Like that's where we're at, right?
I think Roman Josi in certain years.
Yeah, I think he's been up around 260, so he's getting close, right? He just can't stay healthy, but I do think that Dougie Hamilton is going to take a little bit of a hit on the power play. So I mean, we've projected him that way as well. Like I think we're around 50 points for Dougie Hamilton, 50 points for Sergachev. They're in and around the same area in the way we projected them. But I love the shot coverage with Dougie Hamilton, and also, why do you have like if you aren't going to put Dougie Hamilton on the power play, like.
Where are you going to use him, right?
Yeah, because he's not a great defenseman, right? He's a weapon. This guy's a hammer, right? Get him out there on the power play. And I think if he can do that, like this guy had 28 power play points 2 years ago. This New Jersey Devils power play was elite last year. Like they weren't number one in actual goals scored, but they were number one in the metrics I look at in expected goals per 60. So, and it wasn't even close, right? They were dominating the field. The next team was Detroit. The next team was Dallas. So New Jersey has an absolute unit for a power play, and this guy's going to get his share of time on there. I do like Luke Hughes still this year as well. I think he's decent value as well. And I do think he's going to get some power play time because it's a different look, right? You've already got a couple guys that they want the puck, right? And they want to play a puck possession game on the power play. Well, what Dougie Hamilton does is like one-timers all day, right? He wants to be at the end of passes, blasting it, and then Stefan Nason is going to bang in the rebound, right? That's kind of what Dougie brings to the table, and also the handedness, right?
Yes, the right-hand shot.
Yeah, I think Luke Hughes, they might like that a little bit better, just to work with Jack Hughes kind of, when they're going north on the left side there. That's kind of what they like to do. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, I like the shot production. I like the potential on the power play. And it's a boom. It might be a boom or bust pick though, right?
I think so. The one thing I'll point out about Sergachev is I think that Utah power play is really good too.
It should be better too, right?
Like it should be. Yes. I think Keller, I don't know who you want to throw on there, but Gunther, Keller, Cooley are going to be on there, and if you want to throw Paterka on there or whoever, or Schmaltz even, I mean that's a top 10 power play all day.
Yep. Utah's going to be a wagon this year. So you can't go wrong with either of these players. I guess you could go a little wronger with Dougie Hamilton, but I also think
he's got a wider range.
Yeah, that he has a potential to kind of smash this ADP. So I'm taking a risk with Dougie, but Sergachev makes a lot of sense as a safer pick, and he could really smash too, like you said, if that power play gets going in Utah. All right. Before we move on, we got to talk about the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Draft Guide. Jason, we did stuff this summer, and it was a labor of love. All right. We got 375 plus player projections, 32 team reviews, sleepers, busts, all kinds of stuff. Nate wrote a crazy article in there, Galaxy Brained Fantasy Hockey to the max, and it's epic stuff. So you got to check it out. If you're interested in that, head on over to the Apples and Ginos Patreon. It's patreon.com/applesginos. And it's a standalone purchase. Get your biscuits over there and do it now. It's a great document. Jason, I'm going to send you one, not because you need help, but I would love your feedback on this document. I just love for you to see it. So yeah, I'll send you one after the show here.
I look forward to it. I've seen like little snippets of it, and I definitely love what I'm seeing. You guys always do like really awesome work. So I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet, man. Yeah, no, I really respect what you guys do over there at the Hockey News too. So it's just good. It's good data point for us to get some high level feedback. So we appreciate you, my man. And we appreciate you, listeners. All right. Get the fantasy hockey guide in your life and do it now. All right. Let's move on over to pick 91. We're getting into the mushy middle of the draft here, and we're looking at, a couple supplementary wingers here. Matthew Knies, Toronto Maple Leafs, and Dylan Holloway of the St. Louis Blues. Who are you rocking with here, Jason?
I wish I wasn't going first on this one, but I feel like we might differ on this one, but it's so close. And again, kind of like Boldy and Robertson, I'm kind of going to go with my bias here, and I just like Dylan Holloway's game a bit more, so I'm going with him. I think the numbers, like overall points and goals, are going to be really close. I think Holloway has the higher offensive ceiling and talent. The downside is he's not going to play as much as Knies. He's probably not going to play power play one like Knies, but I do think Holloway's going to put more shots on net, probably going to end up with similar hit totals. I think Knies' shooting percentage was a little overheated last season, but I like volume. I just think volume is more easier to predict, and I just like Holloway again for the more I guess, narrow range of outcomes, but in my opinion, maybe safer.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart way to draft, honestly. Like, we don't need to be taking massive swings out here. We really don't until you're kind of more towards the end of your
Yeah,
draft.
that's when I like to do it.
Yeah, then it's like fun time, right? You blast off. But, that said, I'm going to take Matthew Knies. All right.
I knew it.
But I agree with everything you said. And I think there's a safety there with Dylan Holloway. I really like the player. He does a lot of the things well that I really like. Things like zone entries that lead to chances, things like that. He's able to drive play on his own. I think his role in the top 6 is absolutely secured, and he's going to get some power play one time. But
you think so, eh? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, he had a 42% power play share last year, but a lot of that was more towards the end of the season, right? When he started cooking, when he went through his kind of second little hot streak there, he was getting power play one time. So I think that he'll definitely spend some time there, even if it's another 42% power play share. He got 13 points on the power play last year. I think that's in the wheelhouse. But yeah, this is a great play driver. But that's really the main reason why I'm going to go Matthew Knies here, because there's no doubt he's line one and he's power play one, right? And he will get more minutes. Yeah. So it's I agree with you. The volume that Holloway is going to bring in some of the categories, Matthew Knies is going to bring the volume in time on ice, right? And that's, to me, it kind of is the equalizer for me here, because I do like, in a bubble, I would take Holloway over Knies. I think he's a better fantasy player. If they both have the same opportunity, same ice time, I'm going Holloway all day. But Matthew Knies is an interesting piece, and this is something Nate and I have talked about a little bit this offseason, just with Marner leaving town. Now, he was, obviously Marner was a big-time facilitator on that line. It was Marner, Matthews, and Knies. But Austin Matthews was also a bit of a facilitator to Matthew Knies. Like, Knies was really just getting in position and tapping pucks in, winning board battles, doing the forechecking, right? So I feel like Matthew Knies, to be as successful as he was last season, he's going to have to adjust his game a little bit, right? And I think he's going to have to become a little bit more of a facilitator to Austin Matthews. Like, if you got Austin Matthews on a line, the majority of the time he needs to be the one taking the shot, not Matthew Knies. You know what I mean? Yes. I feel like it's kind of gone a little bit different way there, right? It's sort of what they did there under Craig Berube, and with Austin Matthews, having an injury there that was affecting his shot and things like that. So I don't know. Do you think, first off, who do you think is going to play with these guys? Do you think Matias Maccelli gets first look there top line in Toronto with Matthew Knies and Austin Matthews?
I think that would be the logical choice, just to even out the lines. But Nylander makes a lot of sense. I can see Berube having a lineup where they have them separated, but kind of like with Kaprizov and Boldy, they have like a nuclear option where they throw all their top options on the ice. Maccelli is an interesting guy. I do think he's probably a better fit because he's such a playmaker to me. Like, I don't think he shoots the puck ever unless he's like 5 feet from the crease or something like that, unless he has no other choice. It'll be interesting to see if Knies transforms his game. He's more of a bowling ball to me. He's kind of the guy who goes out and creates space. If he has to do more with the puck, I'd be interested to see what that looks like. Matthews' playmaking ability is underrated. I agree with you there. But if he's on the ice, I mean, the two wingers are going to defer to him all the time. It's like he has no choice but to shoot the puck anyway.
You have to, especially now without Marner.
That's right.
Yeah, you have to.
Yes, that's right. And going back to Holloway, I do think the chemistry with Kyrou is pretty interesting to see. I am a little afraid of Jimmy Snuggerud. I think he showed really well. I think his ceiling is super high as well. There's Jake Neighbors as well. So the Blues have a lot of wingers and competition there. So Knies obviously is going to get 18, 19 minutes a game, and Holloway 16, 17. That would be my big concern with Holloway.
Yeah. But that's a good conversation, though, isn't it? Actually, now that we're going through these players, I'm like, oh, these are good picks, because
the Blues are underrated. I think people are down on them too much. I don't know why.
It makes no sense. And the coaching, that's their secret weapon. Picking up the head coach there halfway through the season, that is a slam dunk. This guy's an amazing offensive mind. And something that was really neat to me is when I was digging in on teams here in the offseason is how the St. Louis Blues sort of, they didn't show very well in expected goals for, which was interesting to me because of the head coach there. And, I'm excited about the potential. But when I dug in a little bit more, it's because he likes he wants them to hold on to the puck. Like he doesn't want them to waste possessions.
Yeah,
So
it's quality thing, right?
yeah. So yeah, and expected goals, there's some volume there, right? Like it's
Mhm.
based on volume to some degree as well, right? How
Yes.
many scoring chances you get from a certain part of the ice. Well, yeah, this team likes to hold on to the puck and get the grade A scoring chance. And that's why they've been such an efficient team for so long. And now you got a new coach in here that's driving that home even more. So I'm big on the Blues, actually. I agree with
Okay,
you.
good.
I'm excited about all those players. Kyrou is one of my favorites. I wish they were going to give him power play 1. I have this feeling he's going to get power play 2 all through the year, which is fine. But I also like Jimmy Snuggerud as well. I think he's a very good sleeper pick. I think he's a dark horse for the Calder this year. Yeah, just what he showed in the playoffs, that was amazing stuff. And I love Dylan Holloway. I saw an interview with him as well, where he's like, he was basically just like throwing the Oilers under the bus. Like, yeah, they were not interested in me at all. So I was like, F you. Like, this is like, he had that kind of attitude throughout the season. And you could see that this guy was a wrecking ball out there. And I'm a big fan of the player, and that's got to sting for the Oilers.
Yeah, I think any player who takes the slightest slight against them as rocket fuel is just an elite performer. And Holloway comes off to me that way. I just want to say shout out to Rob Thomas, who I think is one of the most underrated number 1 center out there. Amazing playmaking ability. If Holloway and Robert Thomas can somehow play together, maybe on the power play, I think that's going to be fireworks too.
Oh yeah, I love Rob Thomas.
Yeah,
I mean, not the singer from Matchbox 20. All right, not him. All right, I'm sure he's a good person, but I don't love him. But I do love Robert Thomas of the St. Louis Blues for fantasy. This guy is one of the most elite facilitators there is, right? He's amazing out there. So, yeah, I'm big on the Blues. Shout out to these players. That's a good conversation. All right, now we've correctly waited to get our first goalie here, Jason. All right. Well, if you choose to do that, but we're looking at the 0G round here. Okay. And we've got some good pieces here. Joey Daccord of the Seattle Kraken and Lucas Dostal of the Anaheim Ducks. Who are you taking? Who do you feel comfortable with here?
Dostal. I'm a big Joey Daccord guy. When Grubauer was the starter and Daccord was kind of up and coming, I was like, they need to stop playing Grubauer because he's honestly horrible. I think they only start him because of the contract he has.
Right.
Daccord to me is like a really safe choice, but Dostal to me gets on hot streaks. I think he has a higher ceiling, and if you're going 0G, you want to go for the higher ceiling. I think the Ducks are a better team than the Kraken. The Kraken are as mid as you can get. I don't know how they're going to score goals this season. Again, unless like Beniers or Shane Wright goes off. And even if they do, I don't know how they're going to do it because their best offensive weapon, in my opinion, is probably Vince Dunn. And I mean, it's Vince Dunn. Like, no disrespect to him, but he's not a top tier number 1 defenseman. I think what worries me about Daccord is that late in the season, last season, he got tired and it was very obvious. He had a really bad 2 months. Dostal, to me, obviously his defense got caved in. I think the Ducks kind of addressed that this season. And honestly, at 5-on-5, I thought they were okay. They were a lot better than I expected them to be.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, these are 2 terrible defensive teams, right? Like last year, I mean, Seattle Kraken, they were 27th overall at 5-on-5 in expected goals against, right? 27th. That's not great. But Joey Daccord, shout out to him. This guy was 10th overall in the league in goals saved above expected.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's a good goalie, right?
He outplayed the environment, no question. And Dostal did as well, right? I mean, Anaheim was even worse. Like their defense last year, I mean, according to the stuff that I'm looking at, like these guys were, 30th, right? So even worse than Seattle. But obviously Dostal played unbelievable, right? But his goals saved above average was only 22nd, right? So individually, Daccord had a little bit of a better season, but it to me, when I'm choosing 0G goalies, I'm looking at team environment first. I think that is really what's going to drive it for me. And I have this weird feeling that I think Anaheim is going to be better. There's no question, right? You get Dangus McGee, Joel Quenneville in here, like say what you will about the man, but he's a great coach, right? In terms of the X's and O's on the ice, right? He knows what he's doing. He's whatever. So I think that Anaheim is going to see a net positive. They're going to see a turnaround, like going from Greg Cronin to Joel Quenneville in one season. That it doesn't get any more of a bigger swing than that in terms of actual coaching, Plus, I agree with you. I think Seattle is more mid, right?
Yes.
And they've been for so long. They don't have anyone who's even close to a superstar. I do like Jared McCann as well. And I like Matty Beniers, but he's more of a defensive center. He's not a guy that's going to pop for fantasy. So I think that Anaheim has the better pieces in place. They have a better potential to pop off, right? And their defense. I love Jackson Lacombe. Like,
yeah, he's fantastic. I've been a big fan for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I watched him in the last half of the year. I started to notice him. Then I dug in on him in the offseason, and the guy was electric. Like on a horrible team, he showed positive numbers in almost every metric. Like this guy was incredible. So yeah, I think just having a guy like that. I like Olin Zellweger as well. I mean, you still got Trouba, you still got Gudas, a couple beefers in there that can make it difficult to play against. I just think Anaheim's going to be better, and I think these guys will both get number 1 minutes as well. And I'm choosing Dostal as well. I think that I feel more comfortable there. Comfortable is maybe not the right word, right? Because we're looking at Seattle and Anaheim, right?
Yeah.
I do want to shout out again. I had a great interview with Kevin Woodley here. It was like a couple months ago, but I asked him about 0G goalies, and he mentioned Philip Grubauer as a goalie that he's interested in. And the things that the metrics that he looks at is this company called ClearSight Analytics.
Yep.
And yeah, it's like you have to pay like $25,000 to use it or whatever, right? He's got the corporate, but
well within our budget. No?
Yeah, really. I mean, I'm scrimping and saving. I got a piggy bank. I broke it open. I didn't have enough. But he said that Philip Grubauer had some of the best adjusted numbers in the entire league in the back half of the year when he came back from his stint there in the minors.
Okay.
So he's not saying that he's going to take over the net from Joey Daccord, but I think we're going to get a few more starts out of Philip Grubauer this year. So, maybe capping the ceiling of Joey Daccord a little bit. So, and what Kevin Woodley says, I basically just take and then I'm like, that's gotta be true. Right. But, and I dug in as well. And yeah, like the adjusted numbers, expected numbers, pretty good. Right. And no one's thinking that he's going to do anything this year. So I do think that Daccord maybe has a few less starts, whereas I don't think Dostal loses any starts this year. I think he's good to go. So we're taking Dostal. We're together on that. Jason, how does it feel?
Pretty good. Whenever you agree with me, I always feel much better.
I feel the same way.
Just two quick things before we move on. Daccord and the Kraken and Grubauer. Like I said, I think his play tailed off at the end, so that's even more reason to think Grubauer is going to step in and play more minutes. Dostal going from Cronin to Quenneville. So stylistically, it's obviously going to be a big change. I think the thing with Cronin is he tried to grind out games, and the Ducks aren't built that way. When like you have a bunch of good offensive players, which I think they have a few, to make them play more of a grinding style isn't really conducive. And because of the way they are built, they're young, they're relatively inexperienced, they're not great down the middle. Naturally, they just get caved in. So defensively, just based on the stylistic change alone, I think they're going to be better. And on that good-ass Trouba point, I don't think there's a harder hitting right side defense in the league than that.
Trouba is like a murderer, like straight up. He probably has a couple deaths, that he's caused like later on down the line. I don't know. Like I always think about just recently in the playoffs where he tried to just decapitate, I think it was Martin Necas or something like that.
Yes, everyone. He tries to do it to everyone.
Oh my God, buddy. Like what? Who whizzed in your cornflakes, my man? I mean, that's what you need. I remember this. You'll know this when Connor Garland was going at him, and that right there. When I saw that with Connor Garland, and then remember he fought Connor Garland the earlier on in the year. Like the team was playing like hell, and Garland just fought some big guy and got off the ice. And
wow,
I'm just shouting out Connor Garland right now because
I know. I don't remember the fight, but I was just going to say that I think like 99% of the league is bigger than Connor Garland.
Yeah. So. Garland is amazing. And when he was going at it with Jacob Trouba, it was just like, what are you doing, my man? Like you're in danger right now, It's like Ralph Wiggum on that, but I'm in danger. Yeah, but he didn't give a damn. So shout out to Connor Garland.
Yeah, Jacob Garland's there's like a recklessness to his play that I think people really, really like. And I think he got invited to the U.S. Olympic orientation camp, right? Like they need a guy like that, like a little energy, a little oomph.
That guy's getting a glow up here, and I love it. I'm here for it because he's worked so hard, and he's just one of my favorites. So anyway, shout out to him, and shout out to these two studs here. One last thing, sorry, on Anaheim. I was just thinking about this. Like, it reminds me very much of the Columbus situation before Dean Evison got there.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You got offensive players that are kind of being held down under a thumb of the head coach, right? Like a kind of a stickler head coach, like, got to play the right way, guys. And, let's put Frank Vetrano out there for 20 minutes a night. It's like, no. Like, we got offensive players here, and you need to let off the reins and let them get the bids, right? So, yeah, we're pretty excited about guys like Troy Terry, Leo Carlson, Mason McTavish. Hopefully he signs here. And yeah, this team's looking really good. And then speaking of the Ducks and speaking of segues, we're going to go into our sleeper round here. That's an elite segue right there. Come on, give it to me, Jason.
No, it's good.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah.
Big claps. I would
that.
clap, but I feel like the microphone might blow up.
Yeah, we don't need that. We're in the sleeper round, and we're talking Cutter Gauthier of the Anaheim Ducks and Cole Perfetti, Mom Spaghetti of the Winnipeg Jets. All right, your last couple picks of your draft here. Who are you taking to these studs?
I feel like you're going to agree with me on this one here, but I don't think there's much competition. I'd rather much have Cutter Gauthier in this sleeper round. I'm at the point where I think Cole Perfetti is a really good facilitator on a second line. I think he's a good player. I think he can be fun to watch sometimes, but he's a pass-first player, so no shots. Gauthier, I think, had a pretty good rookie season, all things considered. I think he has more potential for goals, more potentials for shots. I think he's going to play higher in the lineup than Perfetti, because if you look at the Jets, they're probably going to go Connor, Scheifele, Velarde. And you look at the Jets' second line, and you're like, is it Taves? Is it Nemesnikov? Is it Lowry? I don't know how this line can create offense. The Jets are a weird team to me. They're always much better than some of their parts. I'm still kind of in shock how good they were last season in the regular season. The thing with Gauthier is he's really streaky, and I think you find that with young goal scorers. There's a point where, like, he started off the season cold, didn't score until game 15 or 16, and then afterwards had 4 separate streaks of 5 or 6 games where he didn't score at all. But I do like his upside. I do like the fact that he plays with Leo Carlson. I think that's going to continue, even with the minutes on power play 1 that Perfetti gets from Ehlers leaving. He's probably the 5th option on that power play anyway.
Yeah. Yep. I like that take. I got to agree with you, buddy. I'm going Cutter Gauthier as well.
Yes.
It's purely upside. I think that Perfetti is a little safer because I really do think he's maybe not a lock for power play 1, but it makes sense, right? Who
else are you going to play there, right?
Yeah. He was a good power play performer on power play 2. I mean, he had 15 power play points last year with a 41% power play share. So that's fine, right? He's an efficient power play performer. I think he could get maybe in the 20s, he could get like 20 to 25 power play points if all goes exactly right. But I do think he's going to take a hit at even strength, right? You lose a guy like Ehlers, and like you said, like, who's on his line? If it is Jonathan Taves, that's fine. But what can we even expect from Jonathan Taves this year? Like, Nate and I just talked about Winnipeg yesterday in our projection series, and it's like, yeah, it's a crapshoot. It's like, what are we even getting? We haven't seen this guy play in a long time. He's been through, hell and back. And like, is he even going to play all the games? Is it going to have load management going on with Jonathan Taves? Like, I don't know. So I think Cole Perfetti is going to have to change his game a little bit, because when you got a guy like Ehlers out there, he's the one driving play, right? Cole Perfetti is just supplementing that. I think if that line is to be successful, Cole Perfetti is going to have to be a bigger part of play driving. And I think he can. He's a good offensive player, right? But time will tell. I think we'll probably see less points at even strength, more points on the power play, and he'll probably have a similar season. Whereas Cutter Gauthier, this is more risky, right? Because we got a new coach in here. He could decrease his ice time even further. Like Greg Cronin, towards the end of the year, he's like, nah, Cutter Gauthier, you stay on the bench, right? He's diminishing his ice time. And all Cutter Gauthier did was continue scoring. It didn't matter how much he was on the ice. He's like, yeah, I'll just keep scoring. So this is a big time, shot monster, right? This is a guy that could, I think, eventually have good efficiency as well. But he's a per-minute beast. He's I think that he has more in the tank in terms of his periffs as well, hits and blocks. And I like the upside here with Cutter Gauthier. If he could, secure line 1 for the entire year, improve on his 14 minutes and 9 seconds average time on ice that he had last year. I think if we get that up around 16, 17, even if he gets really popular there, and also gets power play 1, like, yeah, we're looking at a player that could crest 60 points, maybe 65. right? And that's absolute ceiling. I think at this point, that's as comfortable as I'm willing to go with a kind of an unknown player and an unknown coaching situation. But I do think he has the jam to sort of get in the good books of Joel Quenneville. And I think he's really going to pop here this year. So that's a guy I'm hoping to get a lot of. Plus you get the Anaheim off nights, right? You're playing in head-to-head leagues. Anaheim, as usual, has the best schedule for fantasy hockey, and you're getting Cutter Gauthier here for a song at the end of your draft. So what are you doing, folks? Go out and get this, man. That's an elite name too. Cutter Gauthier. Cole Perfetti's actually pretty elite as well.
Yeah, I was going to say both really good names. I would just add that on the Ducks, I think Gauthier by far is the best shooter, whereas Perfetti is not the best playmaker on his team. And also it's a contract year for Gauthier. So if you believe in that stuff, he's in a good spot. And I think if you notice the theme throughout all this is that like I probably prefer safer near the top of the draft with like Sergachev and those guys. But later in the draft, I'm willing to take a shot on quote unquote the more risky guys. Like I think Gauthier is more risky just because he plays on the Ducks. If he gets power play, I think the Ducks power play is also going to improve because they got Mikael Granlund. That's one of the big reasons they got him. I don't know if Kreider's going to play power play 1. To me, he feels a little washed, but Granlund's the big one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think Kreider's a lock. I think.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for me. But I also like Granlund as well. That was Nate and I disagreed on that. I think I like Granlund on power play 1. I think Nate had him on power play 2, which is potential as well. Like, but I think Kreider for sure. Like that guy, he was injured last year, and New York vibes were terrible, like atrocious. And like he had trade rumors over his head the whole season. Plus he was injured. I think he was just playing out his season there. He's still like one of, if not the best net front players on the power play in the league. So I think he's going to certainly get first shot there. If he truly is washed, like I think that'll be pretty evident quickly, and maybe that'll be a change, right? But I still think Kreider has a ton in the tank. I like him at value as well. I think that's a 30 goal guy this year potentially, even on a bad team.
Well, just real quick, what is your projection for Kreider in terms of stats, like goals and assists?
That's a good question. We've got Kreider for 32 goals, 19 assists, 51 points.
Okay.
So, and that's 15 points on the power play. So nothing crazy, but those are probably mostly goals, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, he's always been that way, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we got there. We got,
I think the Ducks will have like a 1A, 1B power play unit.
Yeah. I think they're going to go true. I think they're going to go true power play. 2 power play 1. Quenneville's done that everywhere he's been. But I mean, we're just going on past whatever, right?
Yeah.
Coaches that come into new teams now, you can't just be like, well, I did this in the past, so I'm going to do that here and hope it works, right? Like today's coach doesn't do that. You look at a guy like Paul Maurice, who actually adapted his style and coaching style and gameplay to suit the players he had on his team. And now that team's like bordering a dynasty here, right? So I think if Quenneville's smart, he's going to come in and tailor his coaching style to the players he has here. But yeah, I mean, Cutter Gauthier, we have him for 27 goals, 28 assists, 55 points. So
out of curiosity,
nice projection.
Out of curiosity, who do you have on Anaheim's top power play?
We got Troy Terry, McTavish, Jackson Lacombe, Chris Kreider, and Leo Carlson.
Okay.
That's sort of the way we're looking at it. But I mean, again, there's so much variance here. You got guys like Granlund, even Vetrano could see time up there. Like, does Jackson Lacombe get power play 1? He's the best defenseman there, no question. But is he the best guy for power play 1? Because they had Owen Zellweger on there as well, right?
Yeah.
And I think he might be a better offensive defenseman. But I mean, you know, it all depends. Like if Jackson Lacombe gets power play 1, I think he's going to really hit here. But unfortunately, like his value, I thought it was going to be crazy. Like Jackson Lacombe at pick 160 or something. And you're having to get him in the top 100 or just after 100. And it's like, I wish I had more value on Jackson Lacombe, right? But I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think I like Zellweger. I don't think he's a threat to Jackson Lacombe on the top power play. I just think Lacombe is good enough on offense. Actually, I think he's more than good enough. But I just think he's the better, smarter option. Zellweger is still a little raw, in my opinion. You still also have Drew Hellison, who I think pretty highly of. Pavel Minchikov, maybe, but he's probably third on that list. That last spot, so I agree, Carlson, Terry, McTavish, Lacombe probably on there. I feel like it could be Vetrano, it could be Kreider, it could be Gauthier, it could be Granlund, it could even be Strome, right? Like, I just am not sure how that's going to shake out and what kind of formation they're going to go with, which is why I think they might go 2 power play units and just go with the one that's rolling at the moment. I think Carlson and McTavish could like center their own power play units like they do with separate lines. So we'll see. Obviously that changes if McTavish doesn't start the season with them. But it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting development too there with McTavish. Is he coming to the Canucks, Jason? Like, can we just write that down right now? Is Mason McTavish coming to the Canucks? Let's just, wouldn't that be nice?
It would be, but I don't know what we offer to Anaheim that would,
I don't know,
make him do the deal. Vancouver's stuck in such a holding pattern at the moment. I don't know. Like, I don't even know how they can improve the roster that they have now without someone internally like stepping up.
Yeah, there's, even the names that are floated out there, like Jack Roslovic, like that's not doing it. You know what I mean?
I'm not a big Roslovic guy.
I mean, it's fine, but is he better than Philip Hedl as a 2C? Like, I don't even
see Roslovic as a center. That's the thing, right? Yeah, to me, he's a winger all day. I think he was drafted as center. I don't think he can win faceoffs, or I don't think he can play center in this league. I think he's super streaky. If you look at the Canucks lineup, the one thing they probably don't need is wingers.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's not inspiring. What do you think about Philip Hedl this year? Because that's a guy I am interested in as a sleeper, and we've got a pretty nice projection for Hedl too. One that might be a little spicy. I don't know. We got Hedl,
but that's probably based on the fact that he's playing 82 games, right?
Yes. Oh, we do. We project for 82, and then let other people sort of put their injury narrative in there and decide how many games they want to have the person for. But
for me, the injury narrative around Hedl is real. Just considering how many concussions he's had. He's already missed time last year when he came over from the Rangers. I think if you can get 60 games out of Hedl, that's really nice. And those would be 60 solid games. I really like his game. But should Hedl go down, like, who are we putting there? Luger? Ratu?
Ratu, sure. Yeah,
I'd like Ratu's game, but he's not a second line center on a playoff team.
No, it's going to be a debacle, right? And I really feel like that's the reason that the Canucks are sort of pushing so hard for this 2C, not because they don't think Hedl can handle it. It's because they might be concerned about this injury narrative, which is real. Although, like his last thing, I don't think it was a concussion; it was more like a whiplash situation that he was dealing with. So body, I'm glad about that, because the more times your brain gets rattled around, I think probably the worse it is for you. All right. That's common sense.
Science says.
Yeah. Science tells me, the data indicates that you shouldn't get your brain bashed on the inside of your skull. All right.
Yeah.
But anyways, we could talk about the Canucks all day, and maybe we will. All right. We probably should. Should we just extend this another hour, Jason? You got time?
Dude, I could talk Canucks all day.
All right. Don't tempt me with a good time. All right.
Well, it's so funny because like on the Western Conference preview, we were stuck on the Canucks for a long time. Not because I like talking about them, but just because I feel like there's a lot of things to talk about. There's a wide range of outcomes. I mean, this is a huge turning point in the franchise, right? And part of it's like, how does Pettersson play? How does Demko play? That was the big issue for me, or a topic of debate. It's not an issue for me, but it was a topic of debate. But anyway, we could go on forever.
You're a Demko truther, aren't you?
I am. I totally am. I think he's one of the best goalies in the world when he's healthy.
What the hell was this Bleacher Report business saying that the Canucks goalie tandem is 21st overall in the league?
Yeah, I don't understand. This is a top 5 tandem when both are healthy.
Yes, exactly. All right. We're together on this, Jason. I don't care. All right. Don't at me. Don't at Jason. All right. Canucks goalie tandem, top 5. Their goal scoring ability, bottom 32. All right. But the goaltending is pretty damn good. All right. Jason, that was a blast, man. I really liked having you on here.
The visual is hilarious. I don't know if he defeated you.
Yeah. Well, you probably did. Yeah. Let's be real about that. But buddy, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Why don't you tell our listeners what they can expect from you at the Hockey News here? Talk about sleepers and keepers too. You guys are firing that up again this year?
Yeah, so thanks for the shout out. So Sleepers and Keepers is the fantasy hockey podcast that I host. This year, producer Connor Somerville is going to be with us full time. Yeah. And Jan Levine, who also writes for the Hockey News Fantasy website, is joining us. He's from New York. I love his accent. Yeah, I just like the fact that having one guy on the West Coast and one guy on the East Coast, and having 2 different viewpoints, because I do think we watch completely different games. Just just based on the schedule itself. Throughout the season, we're going to have daily articles on the website for daily fantasy play and streaming plays. Every Monday, I'll still have that schedule sort of primer just to preview the week, which teams are playing well, which players you might want to stream. New episodes of podcasts drop every Monday. So that's something to look forward to. If you like, you can listen on Spotify. And if you get a chance, be sure to follow Apple and Ginos. Blake Creamer has always been really good. We have a lot of fun conversations, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more fun conversations throughout the season.
You bet, buddy. Well, you obviously have amazing taste in podcasts, all right? And that's what I appreciate about you, Jason. All right. Definitely check out the Sleepers and Keepers podcast. It's epic stuff. I'm glad you guys are bringing it back. This is going to be a great season. These guys, just rinsed me in a fantasy hockey league last year. It was terrible. So, yeah.
The zero-G goalie strategy didn't quite work out.
That wasn't my problem. There was many problems there. I don't want to get into that, all right? We don't need to blow me up there. But, that was a nice time that I had with you boys there, and we'll do it again sometime soon. But that's it, folks. That's what we got here. Before I let you go, please join our Discord community. Link is in the description. Check that out. We got 1,700 beefers in there getting to biz fantasy hockey style. All right, we like that. If you could head on over to our YouTube, check that out. Like, rate, review, subscribe, comment. It helps us out with the algorithm. All right, the machine. Right, we have to respect the machine. But that's it, folks. Hope this episode helped you get a little bit better at Fantasy Hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which is a terrific free resource. Also, all 3 zones, advancedhockeystats.com, terrific paid resources. Thanks to my brother, Matt Creamer, for doing the music for the podcast. But that's it, folks. Until next time, celebrate your day. Bye for now.